Doesn't look like there's a huge number of people in here, so it looks like we may all be here. I don't know. So let me take you through everything what you've got to do. So I've got the Blackboard up. Has anybody logged into the Blackboard yet? Okay. So you log into the Blackboard, and then I always go up here and find the semester I'm in. And I guess for me it lists the courses I'm responsible for. Probably lists all the ones you're taking. So for some reason, I did not know why. Mine will always list dynamics up at the top and statics at the bottom. I don't know why, even though, but is it alphabetical? Oh, okay. So there you go. Learn something every day. So if you hit statics, first thing you see is all this stuff. But that's what I see. There's a thing about student view. I don't know what you would see if I enter the student view. You apparently see that.
Yes.
So they've got this little thing about policy agreements and stuff like that. I got it. Everybody gets an email. All the professors get an email that says, "Oh, you've got 14 days for attendance accounting," and so the professor will probably call out your name. Oh, you know, this is your name. So I guess they're taking roll. I don't do it that way because part of attendance accounting is if you log into the Blackboard shell and you take this policy agreement. It's like 3 questions, I think, and it doesn't really matter if you get them right. I mean, it just matters that you took them. If you're really one of those people that has to get it right, I think you can redo it. So in any case, you go in there, do that. That counts you as being here. Now, just as a case in point, and I might as well tell you some of this. The reason they do that is because when you came here, you logged in, well, before you came here, sometime the fall semester before you came here, you probably logged in and got a FAFSA account. And that's the Federal Student Financial Aid, some other acronym thing that I don't know the name of it, but it stands for something like that. That's set up as a federal thing to collect all the data. The university is always connected to that. And that's occurred because of regulations that have occurred over time. Now, here's the thing, and I talk about this just a little bit, okay. So there's a thing called Code of Federal Regulations, and it has nothing to do with statics, has nothing to do with engineering. But if you go get a job somewhere, depending on where you have your job, you're going to be under one of these. So I mean, everything from accountants, you can go become the president. Agriculture, all this. Well, down there, energy, Title 10. That's if you go to work at the power plant. The thing you'll find out within probably less than 2-3 weeks, your whole life is guided by these Code of Federal Regulations, especially in the nuclear industry, because they don't want you taking the uranium and throwing it out the back door. So there's going to be all these regulations. Well, universities are down there. I think we're 34, or maybe we're 43. I don't know. 34? 35. No, wait, 34. Okay, so there's all these regulations. So people say, oh, I'm going to a state school, or I'm going to a private school, but you're actually going to a federal school. Because that's just the way it is. Private schools have a very interesting way of managing things and to making you think you're more elite, but they teach you the same topic, and in some cases they don't do as good of a job. Now, sometimes they do better, sometimes they don't do as well. It just kind of depends. So I don't want to be disparaging. There's only one university I know of that will not accept federal regulations. And they do not accept any of it. And that's, okay, it's in Hope, Michigan. Wait, no, I can't believe I'm forgetting it. But anyway, it's a small liberal arts school, which they don't want any oversight. And they have a lot of online courses, which are actually very, very good. And very, very, they're at the top tier for stuff like that. They have a course on Constitution, understanding the Constitution. I can't think of the name of the Hillsdale. That's it. And it does not accept. That's the only one I know of. Maybe there's another one, but all other universities, they're all federal. So you have to go through the. So a lot of the things, like the 14-day that the university requires each professor to take, and then you actually, if someone did not come to class or fill out the thing for 14 days, the university is supposed to eject them from the class. It's a federal rule. It came about because I know of several abuses, but I know that they say that the abuse is student comes onto campus, collects the federal aid, disappears, never takes a course, collect his money, and sometimes you can get more money than the course is worth, so you can get extra money for doing that and leave. The university's left saying, oh, they got all Fs, and then the federal regulators say, well, did they attend class? And if the university cannot show proof of that, then the university must pay back the federal government, even though the student could walk away with the funds. There were times where universities were paying up to $500,000 back to the federal government for situations like that. The reason I bring this up is not to harp upon that point, but to let you know that there are sometimes that there are things that happen to you throughout your career that the university professor's doing, and you're like, why are they picking on me? They're not necessarily, it's just that regulation that the university tells me I have to do in order to do that. So we all exist under that. We all exist under these regulations. So that's one of them. And so go and fill that thing out. There are times in which if you didn't file that as a professor and that wasn't done, they were doing this, I think during COVID, if you didn't fill that out, they just ejected you. And they didn't even ask the professor. So so go ahead and fill out the policy agreement. It's just a mundane sort of thing. First let's go look at the syllabus. Here's the syllabus. I tried to include as much and make it as complete as I could. Let's open it in a new tab. There is one thing wrong with it, but it's minor, and I'll go back and fix it. So I hope we're in statics. You're here for statics, right? Okay, good. Okay, so you go down through here. Here you get down to here. And I've made this little part in red. And I said, you got to have the online edition through the Pearson Mastering site, which we'll get to in a second. And it's required. And then this 6, 7. Okay, so there's the prerequisites. There's a little course description that was in the catalog. The designation, it's a required course for the engineering. 6 and 7, and 8 and 9 and 10, and I don't know why 11 is there, but 10 up to that are required for accreditation. So you can go memorize them if you want to, and I would say it's a complete waste of your time, but you could do that if you want to. There's the error in here. I'm in 224, not 227. My phone number is the right number, but my phone intermittently doesn't work. I don't know why. That's my email. And so you go down through here, and there's the grade thing. So attendance. Okay, so you can attend if you want. You're an adult at this point. If you go back to the content and you hit the live stream button, it'll take you there. You can go to live and you'll see, and so this is currently being streamed live. You go down through here, and there's the grade thing. If you're sick, and you're attendance. Like, okay, so puke or something. You can attend if you want. Don't be stressed about you're an adult at this point. If you go back to the content and you hit the live stream button, and then after it'll take you there. You can go to live, and you'll see. And so you go down through here, and there's the grade thing. If you're sick, attendance. And if I turn down the audio here, the speaker, you can attend if you want. So it has you're an adult at this point.
If you go back to the content and you hit the live stream button, it'll take you there. You can go to live.
Looks like it's a little delayed.
And you'll see.
Earlier it wasn't that delayed.
Go down through here, and there's the grade thing.
If you're sick,
attend it.
I'll tell you what, let's do this. I'll go back to the live stream. The live stream doesn't necessarily go to the live stream. It just goes to videos. That's my dog right there. And if you hit live, you'll see this. And if it has a little red thing down there, that means it's currently going. But you'll see these are all the live streams from last semester. Now, I will tell you that I did 2 ways of lecturing last semester. And one was with, like here's an example. This is with a tablet or a Microsoft Surface thing. And I sat up here and I did it on the tablet and streamed off of it. Also here you see I'm a normal human. I don't like these to see myself because it reminds me of how particularly ugly I am. But I may do this a little bit more because I need the exercise. So I've noticed when I do these, I sit at the desk and I'm like this, and I get up and I go out of the classroom and I have to go to the chiropractor or something, So I need to move around a little bit. Now, I understand that sometimes it's a little bit harder to read this, so I pay a particular attention to where the camera hits because there's a part of the board from here over roughly that it doesn't get. So I try to mark the board and stay within that so everything there is within that confinement. So I will do that. That's just cycling because here, if you move your mouse, you'll see it cycles over whatever. It's trying to give a preview. It's YouTube. So I know the university pays a lot of money for all these things. They pay for Blackboard. They pay for a streaming thing. They pay for WebEx. They pay for this. They pay lots of money. Lots of money goes out. But I find that every single student you ask, without exception, knows how to look at a YouTube video. And I find that, to me, I have a threshold policy. If I pass that threshold moving outside the classroom, by the time I move out, the student needs to have access to what I did in that classroom. I don't need to go back to my office and spend 5 hours editing a 1-hour video to take out a curse word or something like that. I'm probably not going to say the curse word, but I might if I'm dealing with technology, and I apologize about that. But I think technology is overdone, and I think we're just in that phase. I don't like it, but I'm willing to use what I can to be as effective as I can. But I'm not going to sit there for 4 hours like one gentleman was telling me about what he did. He's telling me all about it. And I was like, well, how long did that take? Well, it took, a week and a half for him to figure out how to do it. I said, I don't think the students have a week and a half to figure out how to do this unless they're doing it for every single class. I said, if you do something that they already know how to do, if they show up, then you actually are moving into a territory that's better for them and not for you. Oh, but we pay for this and we do this and we do that. And I thought, that's fine. Do whatever you want to do. This is just what I decided to do. I've even seen where I was teaching in Corley one time, and I was in that first room. It has that little window you can look out. So I'm going back and forth for the board, and I look out, and there's those benches out there. And I look out there, and I'm like, those are 6 students that are supposed to be in my class. And they're all sitting there on the phone watching me in class 20 feet away. And I thought, well, I guess if somebody did that for me, I might find that more comfortable too. Because, it was during COVID and all that stuff, and they probably thought, well, I want air, So, for whatever reason, I make it available to anybody. Every single lecture, if you're sick or you have to go to a meeting or something like that, it's all there. So, how do I do the, here, let me get rid of a few things. Okay, there's the Oh, I should have left that up. I tell you what, let me get rid of all this stuff. And then there's the federal regs. If you want to look at this stuff, just CFR, Code of Federal Regulations. You can look up anything you want. It's if you look into education, you can see all sorts of stuff in there. So the course itself, okay, so here's the grade scale, course objectives, okay, yeah. Get down here. This is university policies that, I don't know why I put this, I did this a while back, I don't know why I attached this to it, because it was given to me as this. Here, you need to give all the students this. Okay, so there it is, read through that, there's the student handbook, things like that. But you're probably more interested in this, and that is, how do you actually do your assignment? How do you do your stuff? You get in here, there's a thing called a Pearson Mastering, and there should have been the word engineering in between here. Pearson Mastering Engineering Assignment Information. So the way I'm doing things, I do things a little bit different. And probably over the years, I really don't know what the best way to teach is. And I don't think anybody else does either. I think everybody has their own way. Some ways work better for some students, some work better for others. I make it to a degree where if you want to learn, you put in the effort and you do the problems, and if you do the problems, you're probably going to learn. I could give you a test every Friday. It's just a lot of work for you and for me. Sometimes I think it helps. It keeps people on track. So I'm going to rely on you to keep yourself on track. So I treat people more like that. Maybe that's not the best way to do. For one person, I found it does good. For another person, it may not do as good. But you can flip the thing and you can find the same thing. What is education? Why do we have all these rules on it? You know, I hear professors complaining that students are more interested in grades. And that's true, I think, to a certain degree, until you really look at it and say, well, the scholarships require the grades to be there. So you've imposed that upon them by, okay, you've got to perform to get that. So why would you not be interested in grades? Because if you don't get enough grades, you lose your scholarship. So it makes sense that you would be interested in grades. But I think there are certain people who don't look at the entire picture and they get caught up in that part. I'm going to rely on you to take your personal, whatever your preference is, and just do the work. So the way it is there's 70% for homework, and then there's a final. The final will generally look like this. So I wouldn't focus like, oh no, you know, we'll talk about that later. I mean, that's at the final. You know, right now we're going to be worried about the week to week. So all the homework will have a due date. There's a penalty of 10% automatically taken off each day. However, I may relax that. Now the reason that's in there, we've talked about Code of Federal Regulations, right? I can kind of see down the pipe that there may be, in the future, a federal audit of courses. There already is a soft federal audit of courses. For example, if you file for FAFSA and you go through the thing and you come out and you say, I want to take a correspondence course. That's a course which has a free, as far as due dates on everything. You'll find that you will be hard pressed that the federal government will allow you to use your federal funds that they supply you for your education to take that course. That there's been a split, okay? Everywhere there's free money from the government, there's going to be some corruption. You got to understand that. So there's a lot of money put into education. So there's bona fide entities like the one you're sitting in, and then there's a bunch of fly-by-night universities which actually have no campus, no nothing. They used to be all illegitimate. There's a few now that are becoming legitimate and providing actual good education because of the technology we have. But then there's still a bunch of those out there that are not. So there's a bunch of regulators looking at it. How can we ensure that the students are not being cheated, like you're being told that you're going to do this, there was some nursing program in California that were promising all this stuff, and the students were like, you promised me this, I'm going to take the course, I should get that, right? I should get an opportunity. Well, they weren't even able to sit for a nursing exam or something. I don't know the details of nursing, I'm not a nurse. So the federal regulations came in with a big hammer and just knocked them out, and then they took the students in and said, you don't owe any of this debt, now go get a nursing degree from a bona fide. Well, the people are like, well, wait a minute, now I have a kid, and I got 4 more years to get that degree. So you got to pay attention and go to at least a decent university. This is, I think, going to come in the future where the universities will be required to prove that, you're not, this is not open. So something as simple as having a due date and some penalization. And so I'm kind of setting up for it, but I may not implement it. So just be aware of that. It's there. Okay, so each of the homework, the entire homework can be done 5 times. Now I'll go into that in a second, but that's 5 global attempts. And it appears, okay, don't quote me on this, but I think each problem can be attempted a total of 10. I think the default was 6. What that means is this. Let me just go ahead and take you to the first assignment. Okay. So I found out from the last class period, which actually had this course from me last time, that they go into this part to do their assignments. I include them all. So they gave me all these links and I include them all. We'll get into this in a little bit more detail. So My Lab Mastering Course Home. So yours will look a little bit different than mine. So let me go there. Let's see if I can get the mouse over it. Oh, okay. Now one of the things that happened here, I got to exit the preview mode. Okay, now I got to go in there, and then I got to go in here. Okay, so my home will look a little bit different than yours because I've got other courses. If you have another course using Pearson somewhere on campus, it may show up in this My Courses thing. You may, I don't understand it, but it might. So you go down here to assignments, and you can click all assignments and look at them all. So if I go to just homework 1, and then I go down, you can see all of these. Maybe I made it too big. Okay, so you can see all of these. These are all the problems. There are 16 of them. Some of them are just tutorials that you'll read a little bit, and you'll go through, and then you'll just answer a question or two. And it tells you how many people have completed it. So there are more in the first. The size of the thing shrinks down as the complexity of the problems grow. So, in other words, let's say you got down here and you started working problem 1.1, and you worked it and you got it wrong. But you already did all these 6. And you're like, okay, I did it wrong. Let me look at, so what you do is you go back, look at what you did, look at the answer you got, so try to figure it. And then you just go attempt that one again. Don't attempt all those, just attempt that one. And then you'll say, okay, you got it, and then you just go through. Now, I think I've got it set so you can bounce around. But you can go do this one on Sunday, and then that one on Sunday, and come back Monday and do this one. Skip Tuesday, come back Wednesday. You can do these anytime you want. They're not timed. I said in the syllabus you get 10 attempts, but I think the default is 6. I have found that most people get it within 3. So the thing is you just do, this course is a read the book, do the problem thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here starting next time, and I'm just going to pick a problem and start working it. Here, I'll go through the section. Here's what we're doing today, and I may do 2 or 3 sections in a day, depending on how short it is. And then I just start working the problem. Here's a problem. Let's just do this. This is what we're doing. So I don't prepare a big sheet and come in, because my thought is if I come without anything and then I take you through the logic of how I was thinking to get through it, then you not just see the words on the page, then you see what's happening in my head. And don't get me wrong, when we get to geometry, you'll find out some of you will think better than I do, and we'll get there soon enough. Because I think geometry is something about the structure of the brain. I've seen it before for years. Some people can rattle off these angles and stuff, and other people are just like, I don't get it. I don't see it. And I am halfway weak. So I've seen people way better than I am, seen people way worse, and I'm like right in the middle. So there are times that I'll say, okay, you got 2 lines and you got a third line. This angle is that angle and this kind of thing. We're trying to find all that stuff. Some of that is that way. There's just some of math that's that way. There's others that you practice into. I think geometry is one of those topics that is that way. You either get it or you don't. You can spend extra time. You might get a little bit better, but then there are people that are way over here in this spectrum that just see it. There may be other topics like that as well. So as we go through this, I'm just going to come in, work a problem. Just work a problem. Pick another problem, work another problem. I'm just going to look at the sections. Usually the sections in this thing are fairly short, a page or less, and then there are lots of problems. So you can watch a YouTube video, you can do this, you can do that, but working a problem is where you learn this stuff from. And yes, you can go out and probably find the answer to something, maybe, but if you want to learn it, just work the problem. I found this method actually works pretty well, because it was interesting having discussions with the people as they were working the problems and their issues with things. Some of this stuff will really make you think. So you just work them, and that's it. There's nothing more to it. So the thing is, you got to buy the book. Okay, and so here's the book. Sometimes it takes a few minutes for it to come up. I don't know particularly why it takes longer some days than others. So you can see last time I opened the thing, I was in chapter 6. However, we kind of want to start in chapter, wait a minute. Oh, wait, there it is. I have the physical copy, and this is exactly like the physical copy. There's no difference, except the only difference I've seen is the physical copy will have the pages, and this will sometimes have like stuff like that covers 3 pages over here, and in this it just goes straight down. And there are people who do this, if you are more comfortable with a paper copy, the first thing you have to buy this one to complete the course. But if you want a paper copy, go get an older edition, you'll pay $2-3 for it. I mean, and what you'll find is the same material is in it. Statics hasn't really changed that much. So just like calculus, just like geometry, just like trig, you can go take it in the 1970s. You didn't have YouTube and all this, but the topics were exactly the same. So there's no real difference. There's more technology that can help you than before. You got photo math and all that sort of stuff. So the book is right there. You have to go buy it. There's extra things in here, but like I said, most students have found that they go to my lab to complete the assignments and look at what's coming up. So if you go over there, like I was there 5 seconds ago, and you go look at the assignments, you'll see them listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and what you'll see over on the right. Okay, so first of all, you'll see the label of what they're called. You'll see the due date, and then you'll see when they're available to you and when they're available until. Now, most all of them are available until the end of the course. They should all be. And then there's something up here that says not available. Let me scroll back up.
That's all the homework for the entirety of the semester, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, now I have listed the final here, but I have to get approval to do the final this particular way. You know what's funny is this first one. Okay, this is due date, available. Oh, that's weird. Why is that? Oh, no, I need to turn that one on. So there's some maintenance I'll have to do. And actually, I'm going to go in each homework and maybe move 1 or 2 out and 1 or 2 in. Just kind of depends. But yeah, this is the whole thing. There are 14 weeks, maybe, in this semester. So you'll see that I put like a flexibility in here that, okay, so that's fine. That's right. The first one is the intro to the Master in Engineering. That just kind of introduces you to what this is. And it's due the 22nd. And then, look at this, of February the 3rd. So I can guarantee you, by the time you open this, I will have already lectured on this topic and moved probably to this topic by then. So I'll be way ahead of the due dates. Does that make sense? So there'll be plenty of time there. Now, that being said, I would not delay on starting them. And I'm going to go and change these so that they are available. So I'll pop them out and make them available. But I want to look at them and make sure. There was a few problems last semester. They were just awful. I shouldn't have done them because I didn't know how awful they were. So I moved a couple out. I'm going to move a couple in. And so I can sort of make them a little bit more tuned to really what you probably should know. And so I just call them HW1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because that's fine. Why not, you know? I started naming them real specific, and then that got so confusing that people were like, which homework am I doing, you know? So they're just listed there. There are 11 of them. And so there's a little bit of flexibility. I technically could have 12 or 13, but I need a little bit of gap in there, I think. So buying the book, okay, there are 2 ways. There may be more, but I know there's 2 ways to get the book. If I go to the course home, let's see. You go to my courses, and those are the ones that I'm teaching. You'll see 5 students have already enrolled in Dynamics. So I had that about an hour ago. When I came in, there were already 4. They knew about it because they took statics last time. So some of them went in and logged in and did it all. One way you can buy the book is you go through this system. You go through the Blackboard. It'll burrow you into the what do you call the Pearson system. There's this support thing that you can, it will help support you on. So if you have trouble with the My Pearson site, you just go to that immediately. They'll help you. The students seem to think that did this last semester seem to think they did a pretty good job of that. The other one that I've included is student registration. Now, this is a form they gave me because I asked Pearson, well, what do I tell the students? Oh, here's a PDF. And so they sent me this PDF of how you go through and buy the book through their system. The other thing you can do is, I think the bookstore's over here now, is I think you can go buy a little card that has just a number, and you can go in and do it that way. Now, it's up to you. Some people may have to go over there because of the financial aid thing. I don't know. I really don't know anything about the way things operate. So all I'm privy to is that I'm supposed to be in this room at this time teaching this topic. And so when you ask me stuff like, oh, I need to do this, you know, my meal ticket or something, I'm like, okay, I think the lunchroom is over there. That's all I know. So, you know, my brain is stuck around that, you know. The university understands that because, you know what, if you want to add a course right now, before you would go talk to your advisor, they won't let professors add students after courses start. Because they think, okay, professors can barely get people registered anyway, but they're really good at statics. And that's kind of true. Most professors, if you go around, if you took away their functionality, they would be pretty much dysfunctional human beings. But they do know the topic they're in. And so that's beneficial to the student, So this is how you do. You just read through that, and it'll take you through this. That's pretty much it. Live stream, you see the live stream anytime you want. If you forget or you're like, I want to go back and see how you work that problem, not only can you go to the live stream that is available for this course, you can go back to the ones last semester, look at it. And, so if you want, you can go back. Oh, there's me. I was checking out something 11 months ago. Okay, so this is where the semester started. So shoot, for that matter, you can go look at the first statics lecture from last semester. They're not great. I don't edit them. I have a threshold policy. Did I tell you about that? Okay, so I just don't want to deal with doing stupid stuff like that. So see, I couldn't even remember. I remembered saying stuff. That's the other problem with professors. Did I say that? Yeah. You don't remember when you said it. I've taught the course so many times. Oh yeah, I remember doing that problem. Oh no, that was last year. So you have to kind of keep me on track with that. So in that regards, if you have any question, feel free to ask. I'll answer it, but usually I like to answer the questions in a lecture to make it available to everyone. Because more often than not, if you're having a problem with something, you'll find the other half of the class is having the same problem. So by all means, if you have an issue with any of the problems or anything like that, send me an email or whatever, or come to class and ask that question. But you don't have to come to class. It's up to you. I would say, I would think you would learn a little bit more if you came to class, but I don't know that I can verify that. Because everybody learns so differently. And so, any questions? Anything? So that's pretty much it. It's probably a weird way of doing statics. Very weird. But I'm here, and I'm just going to come in and just, it takes me a few minutes to log in, start the equipment, and then I'm just off. That's what I do. I could just work statics problem until I fall over dead, and I don't really want to do that. So I guess there's one other thing that'll probably start taking place is I think I may start in a couple weeks doing an every other Friday virtual thing. So if I find though that the whole class is showing up, then I'll hold the class on Friday. But if I find that our attendance is, if the in-person attendance gets a little lower, then I may say, every other Friday or maybe even every Friday we'll just do a virtual thing. And I'll, sit either in my office. I'm not going to come here if I do virtual, but I'll either do my office or the house and stream out of there. Usually if I do that, I'm trying to answer questions. So I'm hoping that at that point you'll have bunches of questions. If you don't, that's okay. That's all I got. I don't know that. So I'm probably the weirdest person here, but that's okay. I've been here too long to not be affected negatively by the environment in which I exist. So here we go. No, they're not, because I don't know what they are yet. But I will be what I'll generally do, I generally post a Google Calendar on the thing so you can look there and stuff like that. So.
Is that the one where you have to register for office hours, or do you show up?
No, I'll do two ways of doing it. I'll do one that's the standard sit there, and then I'll do the other one where I make people register. But if you're wanting advising, I generally want to register because I like to use the what's that called? Not WebEx, but Zoom. Because that way we can both look at the sheet on this computer and go through things, and I find we hammer it out really quick that way.
I get an advisor this semester.
Oh yeah.
I have done that.
Oh boy, Dakota 267.
I'm going to Rockwell.